Hi, this is Dr. Hart, and this video is called Politics Basic Introduction. We're going to accomplish four things in this video. First, we're going to address the question, what is politics about? Second, we'll talk about definition of power. Third, we will talk about the various sources of power. And fourth, we will address the question, why learn about politics? So what is politics about? Politics is about power. Harold Laswell, who was a great 20th century American political scientist, defined politics as who gets what, when, and how. Politics is everywhere. It is ubiquitous. Because power itself is ubiquitous. Wherever there's more than one person, these persons enter power relationships, whether they fully realize it or not. A person can be natural, like a human being, or artificial. An artificial person can be a government institution, a corporation, a city, a state, or even a country. So, an artificial person is a fictitious legal entity. In the world as we know it today, power is concentrated in the hands of artificial persons. Power can, to some extent, be measured. Sometimes it can only be measured indirectly. Power between two persons, be they natural or artificial, may be defined as the ability of person A to make person B act or refrain from acting, regardless of B's wishes. What are the sources of power? There are at least four different sources of power. First, there's power in the numbers. In democratic institutions, for example, majority rules. Why is a Supreme Court decision decided one way and not another? Because there are more justices of the Supreme Court wanting to make a decision a particular way. Why is it that a particular bill becomes law and a different bill is killed? Because it's all decided based on numbers. If you have a majority in Congress, you can have a bill passed. If you don't have a majority, the bill is killed. On a battlefield, if technology and generalship are roughly equal, the numbers will generally decide the outcome of the battle. But numbers are not the only source of power. There's also financial or economic power. People that have a lot of money can contribute to political campaigns, thus increasing the power over politicians, the power that they have over them. They can also employ a lot of people in their offices, in their warehouses, etc., and this allows them to exercise power over politicians and political institutions indirectly, by threatening layoffs, for example, if taxes are raised or if regulations are increased. But there's also personal power. Personal or individual power comes from the fact that some persons simply have more energy, more charisma, or better communication skills than others. Some have a clear vision and conviction, and these drive them to pursue their political goals single-mindedly, while other people are distracted or anxious and go nowhere. There's also power of authority. Power of authority derives from institutions, so it can also be called institutional power. This type of power is almost always emphasized in introductory political science courses. What about other potential sources of power? I'm sure you have heard the expression, knowledge is power. There's also physical power. It's an obvious kind of raw type of power. Now, these two types of power, knowledge and physical, they're not really standalone, independent powers. Instead, they tend to attach to natural or artificial persons. For example, knowledge in the 21st century is concentrated in artificial persons, for example, major universities, intelligence agencies, and research institutions. These organizations have many different experts from many different fields, and also vast computer resources. A single individual cannot possibly compete or compare power with a major organization like that. Physical power is also concentrated in artificial persons, such as police departments, militaries, and countries in general. Therefore, knowledge as power and physical power are not independent. They're attached to some other type of power. Now, why should we learn about politics at all? Well, first, because the government may be interested in inculcating certain beliefs and values in the population. And to this end, the government may wish the population to study certain aspects of politics. This is an attempt to legitimize the government's power, that is to say, to establish that the government has the right to exercise its power, that it's not only exercising it just because it can, but because it has the right to. This is what the concept of legitimacy means. This is also an attempt, or it can be an attempt, to maintain social stability. So, requiring courses in civics or political science is a way to achieve these goals. Another reason why we may want to learn about politics is because we want to avoid being blindsided by events. Politics is interested in you even if you are not interested in politics. Knowing how politics works can make it easier to predict what is likely to occur and not to occur. Yet another reason why we may want to study politics is to bring about or to prevent change. Knowing how politics works makes for much more realistic planning when it comes to creating or preventing change. We may also want to learn about politics to satisfy natural human curiosity. After all, we are not pigs who are blissfully joyous in their slop. Instead, what we want to do is to reach for knowledge because we all have intellectual curiosity, even those of us who sometimes do not want to admit it because we don't want to be called nerds or geeks. Learning about politics is learning about the way the world works, the way it affects all of us. So, learning about politics is always a worthwhile undertaking. Thank you.